Yeah, okay. Well, then, I made a comment. Well, I'm here as the observer for the meeting. Oh, okay. But yeah, you're not supposed to know. Oh, well. Yeah. What? Where they go over? And well, I'm showing them. Oh, actually, I can have a complete copy of everything. That I'm talking about. I read it in the agenda. Okay, and I don't know if did you see the PowerPoint slide? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, so I approaching these very scientifically. You can't argue with that. No, it was a sidewalk. It was what's that? I was wrong. Yeah, I had a couple times, and I lost some nerves, muscle strength there, but I think these two fingers on the front get it better. But they have special jump therapists. Oh yeah, I did all that. Yes. Okay, I got. I'm doing. I do all myself. Okay.
Turn your lights on.
She sent me over like a.
This feels so short. It's 6:01. I will call this Cleveland Board of Trustees, January 26th to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I will open the floor for public comment. And I believe, Merle, you're going to be speaking about safe sidewalks. And we all have the printout of her PowerPoint, which was presented at Streets. No, it was not. Okay.
No.
So I saw some reference to it under Streets, I thought. Okay. Please, if you wouldn't mind, you can come up and speak into the microphone. Just tell your name and address for the recording.
Merle Myerson, 64 Boonlar Court, Cooperstown, New York. So I'll be speaking on safe sidewalks in our village. And so I first want to, if you look at the handout, fall of morbidity and mortality. The reason I'm interested in this is as a physician who has practiced in Cooperstown, I specialize in prevention of illness and disease. So it strikes me when I'm walking through the village that some sidewalks are not only impassable, but force someone to walk in the street, or if they go over that, they can fall back on the streets. So this is from Journal of American Medical Association, what we call morbidity and mortality. Let me just time this to make sure I don't go too much. And so falls are the leading cause of injury-related morbidity and mortality among older adults in particular. So up to a quarter of the community-dwelling adults who are older than 65 have a fall. And many deaths also are related to fall injuries. So, I think the important thing is that we can prevent this. And it not only costs the healthcare system money, but once someone falls, And many times, if an older person falls, it's a cycle of declining health, functionality. So I did look at the local law and the duty of the property owner to keep such sidewalks adjoining such property free from snow and ice for the full paved width of the sidewalk. I also put in some pictures. I just snapped a picture on the way over here of 4 Glen Avenue, which actually has not been touched. It was actually impassable. I walked out into the street. Glen Avenue was not that wide, so it was quite dangerous, especially in the dark. So on the safe sidewalks in our village, if you turn to that page, I think some of the important points are that I feel they're a campaign to inform village residents of their responsibilities, why this is so very important, and the consequences for their noncompliance with village law. I think it's very important to have routine and consistent enforcement of noncompliance. And I felt that perhaps Mitch Botaling, the superintendent of public works for the village, could oversee addressing this issue. So what are the solutions? It's fine to be up here and complain about something, but how will we solve the problem? Well, I know that I spoke with Richard Sternberg and got feedback from others in the village. So I understand that Department of Public Works has limited staff. So perhaps Public Works staff to carry out routine overall check after snow and ice storms, and they can or cannot report specific violations, but just to drive through the village and say, wow, this looks bad, this looks terrible. For noncompliance, to effect change, local laws must be made known as well as how laws will be enforced and penalties for noncompliance. Homeowners who are away or not living at their properties to be notified that they are responsible for sidewalk, snow, and ice removal, even if they're not here. Consider an outright fine for noncompliance, not just covering the cost of having the sidewalks cleared for them. The cost for clearing assesses according to the length of the sidewalk, and fines can be added to property bills. For sidewalk maintenance, so I know also, we have limited funds, we have limited personnel to do this. But an assessment of the Department of Public Works staffing to clear sidewalks after storms and the ability to utilize and pay for overtime work. Certainly an important question. We're a small town, small village actually, and have a limited budget. Consider engaging private landscaping firms. Why this would be good is because during the winter, many times their employees have less work, but still want to be fully employed. Considering hiring members of local civic organizations or perhaps some of our high school kids to clear sidewalks. So that's my talk on safe sidewalks in our village in my presentation. I would be glad to work with the village on this and look at different solutions, different analyses on how we can address the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Merle. Just as a follow-up, so our board knows, we have 26 miles of sidewalks in our community. So it's more than most of us, even those of us out walking every day, certainly travel. And so we do rely on people notifying us if, there's a tripping hazard, if there's a sidewalk hasn't been cleared. We did receive notification for about 4 with the prior storm, not this one, because it is important to note that people have 24 hours after that snowstorm ends to get their property cleared. 4, we were notified on 4, and the people were noticed. 2 of those immediately contracted or cleared their own. 2 did not. The village crew then cleaned that sidewalk, and they get billed, the property owner gets billed $100. So that did occur. Obviously, with this snowstorm, it was still snowing yet today. So tomorrow would probably be the time, that we could register complaints and make
to the property owners.
And there is a link on the website that says report a problem. Which if you're not someone who calls or you just want an easy way to do it, that is one way to for a resident to file a complaint. It is very hard for our DPW staff to do this. In part, you mentioned, could they drive around? When the snow gets as high as it is now, you can't tell if the sidewalk is clear unless you really are out of your vehicle. So we certainly know where there are repeat offenders, shall we say, who have a history of not shoveling, but our DPW folks have enough to keep the streets clean without having to monitor the sidewalks. And we do get complaints.
We do rely on people letting us know. Yeah.
Thank Marcia, for facilitating this. She shared with me, she's terrified of the times of walking. I just want to acknowledge her for the record and all her help.
Might we consider a special mailing going out to everybody in the village who might?
It goes in the Village Voices this month.
Yeah, it'll be in Village Voices next week.
Yeah, but I don't know whether that's direct enough, because there's a lot of information in there, a lot of people just, okay, you know, that type of thing, but maybe a special mailing addressing the snow and the ice issue with an additional piece about what your liabilities might be, should somebody take a hard fall and wind up injured. So
Well, it's interesting to follow up on that, if our notice in the Village Voices is going to state what the responsibility is, but we could also, if we're not already doing it, maybe add that we have taken enforcement action this year and will continue to do so. If we've issued citations or whatever we said we've done, that'll make it a little more real to people that the law is there and so is our enforcement.
I wonder if using the newspaper might be a better option. I think people
What
get
story?
it. Yeah.
I think more people read the Village Voices than they do. Eric's not here, I feel bad, than the Freeman's Journal, quite frankly.
But we know it's in Village Voices. The fines are in Village Voices. The requirements are in Village Voices. They were last time, they will be this time. And I feel like there has to be something else.
So Village enforces snow law, and that'll be a story.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt to do an article.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? What constitutes clearing your sidewalk enough? Like, I have cleared my sidewalk, I think, well, actually, a service did it. But, it's not like down to the concrete. So, I mean, right now it's not icy. So I think actually sometimes when there is a snowpack, it might make it you have something to grip. But I guess I'm just a little concerned how it gets read. And if we start having neighbors reporting neighbors, and I just want to be clear what it means. And I think people need to understand that.
If I could ask a clarifying question, Marilyn, is this photograph in your handout an example of, in your view, a non-compliant property owner?
Yes, these photographs did come out
Yeah.
well, but actually the other one is pure ice.
Okay, right, yes.
But I,
That's an important
Okay.
distinction there too. I'm looking at the village law and severe icing is defined. So that's there. I believe also somewhere it says be strewn with sand, sodas or other suitable material.
So,
So I think the law.
Not salt.
And that defines that. I'm not sure, but it's a good point.
You can't use rock salt on concrete.
no, but the salt, that's fine
Yeah.
for pets and concrete. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have dirt. I don't have sawdust,
Yeah.
The
The other thing that I have done in the past with Jenna's help is when we're gonna get 240-degree days in a row,
Yeah.
then I usually have Jenna post on Facebook, now's the time to clean your sidewalk. Because right now,
You can,
having your sidewalk the way yours is, and probably the way most people's are, it might be close to the best you can get because it's
Right.
gonna be in the teens for the next
Right.
5 days.
Because I don't know the liability, like what the city owner or the village.
Both.
Well, has that been done before?
We've been
Ones that
Mhm.
justify.
For
on a
ice?
a private property owner has been sued and the village? I don't recall that ever.
You don't recall the village being sued
The
over?
village has, they've been attempted on, shall I say, Main Street. But if we were unclear on it, I'm not sure there've been those that have prevailed. If
I don't
we,
know that anyone has prevailed.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think any have prevailed.
Yes.
The slip and fall on a public sidewalk is going to invite a lawsuit against the municipality. Again, whether it sticks is another matter, but the municipality is usually seen as the deeper pocket.
Mhm. All right, thank you for coming tonight and presenting, and we will be following up with more, informative information in the newspaper and in our Village Voices. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Back, this I'm here.
Nice to.
Thanks.
We have one other piece of correspondence, and that's from the New York State Department of State Division of Building Standards and Codes.
Yeah, so this came to us. I don't think that it really applies to us because
Not the building, but I thought the sort of insulation sort of things were interesting in there.
yeah, they are. I mean, the county is our
Mhm.
code enforcer, so including the energy code, the county is responsible for that. But I thought it was important, and Jenna thought it was important that everybody see it, so you're aware of it.
But we don't have an action thing.
No,
Okay.
no.
There's no public hearing tonight. We have the review of minutes. I know Cindy has submitted a few corrections, as have I. I move that we approve the December 15th regular meeting minutes and the January 8th special meeting minutes.
I move to accept.
I saw Audrey, second by Audrey, all in favor.
Aye.
We have two permits tonight. The first one is Janet Irway, Cooperstown Art Association, and she has provided the 2026 schedule of openings and events, and it's in your packet.
I will move the approval. I have a comment when we discuss it.
Okay, motion to approve by Joe,
Second.
second by Cindy. Okay.
There's one date, Sunday, October 18th, that's maybe in conflict, and Jenna and I discussed this, and you think the best way for us she thinks the best way for us to do this is to approve it, subject to the Library and Arts Association working out that conflict on the 18th.
Yes, I remember the last luck of the draw. It may have also been a conflict, and the luck of the draw was not held upstairs. It was held in gallery.
Good, and that was unclear.
Yeah, so I think that's very workable on that. All right, so motion made, seconded. All those in favor, aye. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, though? I thought that we weren't going to approve permits anymore.
I put these two on because they both include alcohol.
Ah,
And that's
okay.
not supposed to be allowed in village properties, so I felt like these two were
Got
kind
it.
of warranted to cover them.
Got it.
Otherwise, we are doing them.
Right,
You know,
where you approve them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. These two are kind of. Okay. Thanks.
And the second one is on the additional agenda. Use of village property for from the Friends of the Park for a donor reception in the ballroom on May 7th from 3 to 8. Wow.
Did we get that?
5.
Oh, thank you.
So also that seems like one that would need to be worked out with the art association.
They are free cash.
Okay.
I did speak with, Janet, and they are willing to work that out as well. Yeah, we try to put people up to her first to try to develop them now.
Is it a presentation or I'm just Right.
Spring event, or very spring fun.
I'm just intrigued that it's 5 hours long. It's a lot of thanking.
Maybe it's for the setup too.
Yeah, she
Yep.
didn't explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a motion by Molly to approve Friends of the Parks, use of the ballroom, May 7th, from 3 to 8, seconded by Audrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, zoning official report, the noise ordinance.
So you have in your packet a lengthy document that is our noise ordinance. The majority of this already exists. But this had some tweaks and you may be able to make out which parts were in a lighter color. Yes, if you have it in color, you can see them in red.
Even better.
So what the chairs of the zoning boards and Ellen and myself have been trying to do is to address the complaints that we have heard about the noise that is made from mechanical units, particularly related to heat pumps. Previously, our law was just about noise, and it grouped all kinds of noise together, although what it really was addressing was amplified sound. So music that's being amplified, voice that's being amplified. And so we tried to create two separate categories in this revision, one that deals with amplified sound and one that deals with mechanically produced sound. I will say there is a third type of sound then that this does not address, which is naturally occurring sound. So
You have no control over that.
so the human voice, for instance,
Oh,
thunder, these types of things are also very loud, and this law doesn't attempt to address those. Animals, we do have a dog barking clause that is in here. I guess that's the one exception. So some of the changes here are just wording changes so that we are referring to sound rather than noise, because that's probably what we should have done in the first place. But if you get to what is an unnumbered page where you see 172-6, there is a new section that relates to mechanically produced sound. And I know Joe has expressed to me concerns about whether these decibel levels are appropriate. They are borrowed. They came from Seattle, I believe. Although Seattle's chart was much longer because they have various industrial districts and commercial districts and other types of districts. We opted just to go with residential and non-residential and to have a daytime level as well as a lower nighttime level.
I made the, I can't pick up on what I sent you here. I made some delineations and some comments. They don't show up on this, what I sent you, but I was also concerned about the consultation process, particularly when you're installing HVAC units. Once they're committed to an in, it's just impossible to expect the property owner to remediate them. So I was looking for a little tighter determination at the outset that these machines are compliant. And then I was wondering too, if there should be some enclosure. No matter how little sound there is, if it can be directed upward, especially in our close proximity.
Well, that's one way to mitigate it is
Right.
by enclosing it. So the easiest way to know if you're going to be in compliance is to find the manufacturer's specification for decibels, and every unit has to have one. And so the reason that this is a little wishy-washy in terms of whether you have to go through this process is that in talking to people who install these for a living, they know. They know whether that Mitsubishi 3200 whatever is a unit that is rated at 40 decibels. And so they don't really need to talk to the zoning enforcement officer because they are well aware of how loud it is or isn't. Whereas someone who may be a do-it-yourselfer, they might want to have some expertise in terms of finding that information. And also these limits are related to the property line, right? And so one way, for instance, if you have a louder unit and you don't want it to cast noise onto your neighbor's property, is to use either an enclosure or a hedgerow, or there are various ways you can cite. Someone could provide them with guidance without having to institute a permit process that I think would be painful for those who generally do this.
Okay, I still see there being some problematic situations and very closely related dwelling units. And there's the further issue of where these can be. And that's maybe more of an HPAR board, but
That is
it's also a
definitely-
planning issue.
that is
just
def-
as an issue.
Right, but HPARB is the body that reviews that.
Right, and is that, I couldn't tell whether that was explicitly called for here. Is this meant to be all encompassing of responsibility? I know it's our sound ordinance, but we don't have a,
It says all HVAC equipment that is intended for more than seasonal installation and is located outside of a building must receive a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Board. Period.
okay, yep, I saw that.
And we did that because we were trying to ensure that window air conditioning units, we're not part of this. I mean, they can be loud and they can be annoying, right? But they don't require a HPARB review.
Oh, like window units, you mean?
Window
Oh,
unit.
yeah.
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 Speaking of the noise ordinance, Pioneer Alley, as we know, is deafening. I can't believe any of the machinery in Pioneer Alley is compliant with our sound level. And I'm wondering if anything.
You think
we know
it's,
about that.
you think it's more than 70 decibels?
Have you been out that by the bat engraving company when that blower is going and the HVAC equipment in the restaurants? I mean, it's on market days, it's
Okay.
pretty deafening. So I just bring that to our attention.
Yeah.
I think it's a serious issue.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
One is, as a homeowner, I would be concerned about exceeding these decibels, and I have no idea what this sounds like. And is there an easy way for people to measure the sound?
You can get an app on your phone.
It's an app on your phone.
Yeah.
I figured that could be the case, but I wanted to clarify.
And it's surprising. We've downloaded them and actually tried them here in this room. And sometimes it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Louder than you realize.
Trustees.
Yeah, when we lose our techniques.
And then I had another thing, just in reading the same page, the 172-6, where you're talking about property maintenance, sounds produced by snow blowers, snow throwers, and snow plows when used in their customary
Yeah.
manner. There are no time limits that I could see on that, so I don't know, is it still 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. or?
No, you are currently allowed to remove snow
Anytime.
anytime.
So
This
those,
is a good thing.
yeah, okay. We don't need to state that here? That would be clear from somewhere else?
I was hoping the fact that there was no time limit stated made it clear, but if you don't think it's clear, then we should make it clearer. You think it needs to be said that?
I don't know,
there are
it's
not
not something that I
time
was thinking, oh, well, everything else specifies, and I just wasn't sure, but I mean, yeah, snow's gonna come whenever, I guess, but.
There was
it
a
could
lot of
be- it
back
could be
and,
loud.
there was a
I didn't-
lot of back and forth on this
Yeah.
topic in our committee meeting.
Well, I have to say, when my neighbor's driveway gets plowed early in the morning and I'm still trying to sleep, the whole house is shaking. But-
And I was probably the most vocal at our zoning update meetings because our neighbor, particularly when you have contiguous sidewalks and your bedroom is on the contiguous driveways and your bedroom's on the driveway side, literally snow clearing at 5 o'clock in the morning, it turns on every motion detected light. Bright lights come into your room and the windows vibrate. from that equipment. It's
Yeah.
got treads on it and it's
Yeah.
just phenomenally loud. And I was told many times snow is just snow clearing's inherently protected in our law. I tried to sneak in, what about not in a residential zone before 6 a.m.? And that was seen as true.
Well,
So
I could also see the other side. People need to get ready to go to work.
go to work.
Okay,
that-
so, yeah, I get it.
I did look because Ellen has been fairly insistent on this, and I have looked at probably 25 other ordinances, and I cannot find an example that limits snow removal.
In
times
residential,
in residential
zone.
areas, yeah.
in backyards.
Yeah, I did try. Just so 70 decibels is the equivalent, according to AI, of a vacuum cleaner or hair dryer.
Wow. That's all.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not.
A jackhammer is 130, a jet engine is 140.
A hair dryer in your ear is 70 decibels.
Great.
That's pretty.
You don't need a hair dryer, Joe.
I
I adapted.
It also says driving in traffic in a busy city.
Well, yeah, your point, the hairdryer right by your ear is one thing, but 60 feet away or whatever. Okay,
So do we think that this is ready to go to a public hearing, or do we want to do more work on it? All right, so yeah, send it to a public hearing. All right, so I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the February trustees meeting to discuss amendments to the Cooperstown noise ordinance.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Cindy, I also didn't know, since it's noted in our minutes from last month, if you want to give this board an update on 30 Lake Street.
Yeah, so I did talk to the owner of 30 Lake Street. And the owners of that property have every intention of following our zoning law. They understand what the provisions of our zoning law are. They know that things need to stay the same size, that they need to follow the plans that are on file. A sort of humorous part of this conversation is that I started the telephone conversation saying there used to be 5 windows across the front, and now there are only 4, because that's the most noticeable change. And apparently the 5th window was damaged in shipping,
oh,
and so it is coming.
oh,
So
They just covered the aperture.
yeah. So it is their intention to do everything correctly. And if we are finding that that's not the case, they certainly want to work with the village to remedy things.
I think one thing that has come up in the discussions I've heard is that the permission granted was quite lenient in terms of materials to be used.
That's true.
And with that approval, there's already, I guess, some more compromise to the integrity of the preservation effort than would otherwise have occurred.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there was a permit that was applied for, I believe, in 2022, and it was subsequently renewed.
It was really described as a 2-phase
Yeah.
project, but the approval itself was maybe where some of the problem exists.
Yeah. I think it's also worth noting that the windows, because the windows have been a big point of conversation, the windows that were in that building were not original windows, they were replacements. So they have replaced the replacements with similar styles to the replacements, which was, they could certainly do that, as opposed to going back to a 6/6 or something like that. Yep.
All right. Motion to accept the, and as you all know, Jenna sent that email around, and I'll just announce it. There were no zoning meetings this month, HPARB, ZBA or planning board. So we didn't read those minutes because they didn't occur. So motion to accept the zoning official report by Audrey, second by George, all in favor. Moving on to public safety.
Been a pretty busy month, again, like the begins on commending Jeff Lansford. Pardon me, for the job he's been doing. He's basically trying to stay on top of just about everything that comes our way. Staffing is limited. We are trying to prepare, Officer Brian Kittle, who has some prior experience. We're gonna see if we can arrange for him to undergo field training, where he'd be riding along with one of our officers. And then we would have another body that we can fill into some of the blanks that we have. Right now, there are several tours on several days where we don't have an officer patrolling, our own officer patrolling in the area. Slack is taken up by the sheriff's, the state police and all that, but again, your local police have a feel for the village, what goes on, where the problems exist, where the traffic issues are. And I think you might even say that because it's their village, they're a little more invested than somebody else's from another agency who has other responsibilities. You should have a copy of the statistical report for 2025, which is part of this evening's package. As you can see, in spite of the size of the department, our officers are pretty busy. And the number of calls, it took me back a little bit to see 1,300 calls. The official Cooperstown Facebook page is now online, and again, our officer in charge, Lanza, will be basically making the primary use of that platform to keep the village informed as to different events, other concerns and the like, parking issues. They have done a lot of enforcement. Look at the late night hours in terms of parking on Main Street is because of the impact it has on our snow plow, snow plowing, particularly this year where it's been the late days and 4 nights of snow. He's also Officer Lanza is also making use of some of the federal equipment that's available, and he's really taken a step towards gearing up the police department with appropriate all types of incidents. And I'll just use one example, okay? One of the things we didn't have, but we're looking to purchase, is a ballistic shield. In light of what went on in Uvalde there, where we have one officer basically pretty much exposed and dealing with it in a way that was concerned with his safety. Ballistic shield is a shield that would allow you to approach with a bulletproof barrier between you and perhaps the gunman or some other danger. So he's exploring that opportunity.
Are those very expensive?
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. $10,000.
Oh, wow.
And then finally, there was a little tidbit towards the end about the Handle with Care program that's being introduced in Cooperstown Central Schools. And again, it's worth you. It's a nationwide program, and we're looking to introduce it here again. So critical, one that we protect the safety of our students, but also look after their well-being in the event there is an incident at a school location.
But also home. also home incidents, because it references domestic violence, so I wasn't sure, yeah.
No, if I can make a comment, I certainly applaud the efforts that the department is doing, but I worry desperately that if our perimeter is the schoolhouse door and child safety, we are already at a huge disadvantage. The perimeter needs to be expanded much beyond that to gun control, which everybody finds so problematic, but which is essential. Can I ask you a question about this year-end statistics?
Sure.
Is there a, and maybe we already have this, is there a way for those to be included year over year so that we can see trends, whether things went up, things went down? Because that could have an impact on how we spend our police dollars. You know, we're finding a greater need here, so let's put some dollars there, or, you know, I'm just wondering how complicated that would be. But seeing these numbers by themselves are is less informative than having a comparison, if it's capable of being done reasonably.
Have we received?
I
activity
don't
reports?
recall offhand.
I
if
don't
we've-
recall these. in the
Yeah,
past.
a year end.
Well, that's the.
Good idea, though.
That's what we're looking at. 20.
Right, but I don't recall one for 24 or 23.
That's what we're saying.
Oh,
But going forward, I think that would be incredibly helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder too if you could pull the statistics though somewhere.
well, even
Seems to me,
in retrospect, but
yeah,
as long as there's a template, at least going forward.
Yeah.
You can plug these in. So,
One of the things that's gone on with law enforcement is that the variety of calls that police respond to in the modern world is much broader than it was when I was working for the Suffolk County Police Department. I would suspect that the trend would be that we're getting busier and busier. On a call by call basis, you know, how many assaults are there and all that, those might be one thing. But that vast variety of incidents that police respond to these days would probably skew that report somewhat. Well, I'll have some discussion with.
yeah, because I'm, in terms of national crime statistics, I'm just wondering if there is a template. You're right, these are quite a number of categories, and I was just wondering if they were standardized and we use a standardized nomenclature and category of incidents so that we can compare apples with apples.
It's been about 10 years, but there is a report that goes to the FBI. And the Justice Department, you know, the Justice Department by extension, with that, you know, robberies, assaults, rapes, etc. But if I remember correctly, it's mostly the most serious crimes that I would say, like traffic. A lot of that information does go to the state. But if you like, we can take a look at that and see what type of reporting we can do to kind of address that trend concern.
It's really whatever there's a consensus about. It just struck me as I read this. These are very interesting statistics.
Yeah, no, I agree. So for instance, there's 27 animal related incidents that are listed on here. And so maybe even as we're thinking about training for our officers, you know, that it seems to be a fairly large category in the village that,
Absolutely,
you know, we need to make sure that they are appropriately prepared to handle.
absolutely. Any other questions, concerns?
Not on the report. I think people do have some questions or concerns about the mutual aid agreement with Otsego County Sheriff's Department. Though in my memory, this has been approved in the past, but I don't have it digitally. But I think we can certainly address any of our concerns now.
I will just say this is very nitpicky punctuation problems, but like the possessive of its police department on the first page. I don't know who drafted this or if any changes can be made, but if we want to be correct. And on the second page, parties should be party Y apostrophe S. But The only question I seem to have is, how is gross negligence defined?
I'm sorry, what did,
Gross negligence, how is it? There's,
Did that?
where was it?
That under
That's a
the
market
liability.
question.
It's under Article 5. The second paragraph, second to last line. But I'm sure you've dealt with this and there's some definition for that. Or agreement,
That's sort of a standard liability
yeah,
provision where you're trying to, look,
right,
everybody makes
just a
mistakes.
blanket
But
thing.
if it isn't, if it's a big thing, then officers are going to be responsible. I think I had a more specific concern, and Cindy had a strategic concern. My specific concern, not knowing the history of this document, was that on page
Article
the
2.
second page, Article 2.
Mhm.
It talked about conducting joint investigations and executions of warrants. And we've had a lot of discussion about what is a warrant. And we, typically, it is a judicial warrant issued by a third branch of the government, not an administrative warrant issued by the action agency. And that's coming up a lot in the ICE activity. So, and we know that the sheriff has signed an agreement to help enforce administrative warrants. So that's one issue, but the city prompted the larger question, and she can address, and then it shows up again in Article 7 implicitly, where it talks about rules and regulations. The sheriff and chief and local government shall establish uniform rules and regulations, rendering mutual aid and so on. And I think subsumed in that would be the issue of which kinds of warrants we're going to provide aid for. But the larger question is, do we do this at all? Can we, the mayor recognizes, says we have done this in the past. Can we get the mutual aid and the ongoing response and cooperation that we are getting without this agreement? And if that's the case, I would set this aside as unnecessary.
Yeah, so my concern is specifically about 287G provisions. So we know that the sheriff's department has engaged in a agreement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement under 287G. And we also know that we have a resolution that explicitly states that we will not engage in a 287G contract. And so I'm not sure what the intersection is between what they have said they will do and what we have said we won't do and mutual aid. Because I would not, and we know that others in the village have this concern as well, because they've come to breakfast with the board and have asked us about our police department. And I would not want to be in a position where someone is hesitant to call 911 because you don't know who's going to show up, whether it's going to be the village or the sheriff.
Well, there's to a degree, Cindy, there's something we can't control there
Right.
because we don't have 24/7 coverage. So the minute we don't have coverage and someone dials 911, they're going to be referred
To the sheriff.
to the county.
Yep.
I agree with you. The warrant question is the most concerning to me. I was looking at Article 3, Power and Authorization, and the second paragraph. The obligation to render mutual aid is strictly voluntary in nature. It does not place any of the local governments under any obligation to respond to a request for mutual aid or assistance of the other party that it is unable or unwilling to honor. I don't understand why, if we have a policy against enforcing or cooperating with 287G, we can't make that specific. Don't call on us for that.
Well,
But otherwise, we've left our citizens to a degree You think they automatically have to do it no matter what? Without disagreement?
I honestly don't know. I, clearly I read this in the packet, but I didn't know what sort of discussion had gone in. Previously, I was not aware, I don't remember one of these in the past, but you had said we might have one. I don't know if the wording is the same or if there have been changes. I would love just to have some more background and perhaps to hear whether it was Officer Lanza who went to the sheriff's department or like, it would just be helpful
Yeah.
to have some more context.
George, I had the feeling that Jess was saying we had one and it was expired. So if he has it in the police files, that would be a quick way to grab it. I was looking digitally. I don't have it digitally, but it might be in a paper file somewhere.
So has this been in place over the last year? I mean, is this something that is only good for a year? What are the terms of
I
this?
don't know what the term.
Yeah, what was the term?
Yeah, I didn't,
So January 1st, 2031, wait a minute, am I reading? This agreement shall terminate on December 31st, 2030.
where is that, Audrey?
On,
Article 9.
yeah, Article 9. So,
That's sort of arbitrary.
yeah, I don't know where that came from.
There must have been a 5-year. I
Yeah.
bet you the other ones were too, and that's why it might not be in everyone's immediate memory.
Well, to your point on that obligation being strictly voluntary, that does not apply to the sheriff's department. The mutual aid is a relationship among Oneonta and us and other signatory municipalities. What is mutual aid, I guess? The sheriff is the sheriff. They do their job. Are they involved in mutual aid? That's my question.
So it's just like our fire departments. We have mutual aid agreements between all the fire departments, requiring us to go to the assistance if requested. Obviously, if we can't muster manpower, that's one thing.
Sure.
My guess is here, it would be much the same. I mean, if we said we don't have anyone available to respond, there's no problem with that.
Not doing it. No,
Today, just to tell you, today I called on a matter. And I called the village, but it was just an issue just outside the village. So they couldn't respond in the first instance. And they had me call the county. The county indicated they were busy with a lot of accidents. They were calling the village back and asking them to respond. It was a house just 3 outside of the village boundary. And so they responded.
Yeah, the mutual aid thing is a sheriff department to sheriff department. That's the sheriff is up here in our county and these are the subordinate jurisdictions. So I just don't know what mutual aid means to the sheriff's department here. I don't even know that the term applies. The sheriff is always on duty, right?
I see this as kind of.
How does mutual aid work?
I see this as a, maybe it is a misnomer. I see it more as an intergovernmental.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what I see it as.
If I can't go, you go, and if necessary, we all go,
Mhm.
basically. The simplest iteration.
I'm sure if there was an incident that was serious at the schools, a number of departments would respond.
Right. I think in context, the sheriff's department, looking at the paragraph above, the sheriff's department is meant to be part of this mutual aid communication. As opposed to the one kind of above the others.
I think obviously we're not in a position to approve this tonight. So George, if you do a little homework, find out the last one. So if it's expired, it could have been signed in maybe 19 or 18, which is my kind of recollection on it. So pull that, we will look into it. We'd like more specifics, I
Yeah,
think.
and
Yeah.
and this may be for Martin too to find out. I just want to know what the legal, if there's some sort of umbrella state requirement that we have some memorialization of mutual aid,
Or whether it's sort of automatic.
instead of it being automatic. Because we have to comply with something in order for this to work, but I don't know this. I don't know
Right.
much about it.
All right, moving on, fire committee report, George.
We met on January 21st, Chief Smith. Victor Jones. Mike Simons were the key players during the meeting. Chief Smith, noted that, there were 10 calls during the period from January 3rd, to January 20th. 6 in the village, 2 in the town of Middlefield, and 1 in the town of Otsego. The department responded to a down 3 blocking the roadway in the town of Middlefield, and 6 automatic fire alarms. 1 was canceled, 2 were false activations. 1 was a heater malfunction, and 1 was an electric dishwasher fire. Department also responded to the Cooperstown Center after an overhead sprinkler malfunction setting off the alarm system. On the EMS side, Mike Simons reported 78 calls for service during this period against his on falls, crashes, et cetera, et cetera. He also shared the statistics for 2025, 833 reported incidents, many standby assignments, including most recently Farms Glimmer Nights. The squad is awaiting prices for the purchase of a portable suction device, which is a device that's now required by New York State to be part of the equipment in the ambulance. So the cost on it, the price on that is about $800. And then I guess the next big step for fire is that we're gonna be looking to replace the pump truck that we currently have, which is 25 years old. So I believe we have a meeting scheduled in a few days to discuss that over at the Clark Center. Any questions?
Motion to accept the public safety report by Molly, second by Audrey, all in favor? Moving on to Doubleday.
Awesome. So we had quite the busy meeting a couple weeks ago for Doubleday, and a lot of the events I actually am very excited about. To start off the meeting, Mr. Kirpin was not able to attend, but there really wasn't much to discuss kind of field maintenance besides for a lot of plowing these days. And then next was Jeff Katz. He talked about Friends of Doubleday, and he shared that we had a recent Daily Star article that featured the Hot Stove Weekend fundraiser, which is going to be in March, March 20th to 22nd of this year. He said that so far they had about 25 tickets sold, and he's hoping for about 50. I believe last year they had a sold out event, so that should be pretty exciting. And then we kind of discussed a little bit more about the sign that we're trying to hang up about who JSB baseball is. And Jeff was able to get me a little bit of a kind of a summary about who JSB baseball and Steve Murphy was. So I'm just going to kind of read the email that he sent me about this organization. So it sounds like Steve Murphy is the founder or head of JSB baseball. And he's been coming to Cooperstown since the 1970s. And he's really loved playing at Doubleday Field with JSB. I guess JSB's been playing at Doubleday since 2014. They're the ones that have all the, I want to say, elderly baseball players that come. Everything not elderly, but like people that are above 60 come and play. And so they have been playing here for over a decade. And a lot of times they're trying to raise money to donate to youth. Baseball, that's their whole mission, is to help inspire the next generation of baseball players. And they were actually the ones that donated money to the Friends of Doubleday to create this little picnic area to help inspire families to come play baseball. So that's why they wanted hang this sign up by the third base picnic table. So that's what I got about the JSB baseball. For old business, we had not heard about this SEC and Big Ten Fall Baseball Showcase. And it wasn't until actually like maybe 4 hours ago, Marcia told us that that was not going to happen this year. I guess coordination between teams and everything just kind of fell through, and so unfortunately, that's not going to happen. They're hoping maybe next year they can get something going. And then let's see. And also about the Hawkeyes, we discussed that and our discussion about using the Doubleday parking lot for concessions if the Hawkeyes came back, and we actually haven't heard anything from the Hawkeyes since a little blurb about them saying, hey, we may want to come back.
Let me ask a question. After the last meeting when we were discussing this, I looked at that picnic area, which is quite extensive.
It is.
I mean, I don't understand now that we have that all nicely redeveloped, that we can't use that, protect our parking area and have the concessions over in that area. It lets the concessionaires do their thing. We get whatever we get from that, and our parking lot stays fully functional.
Yeah.
So just a thought.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, I've looked at it a lot, but then I'm thinking, well, what about this? And it just seemed to have a lot of space.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did have that discussion too with the Doubleday committee. They were saying we would put that back out to the Hawkeyes and tell them that they could use the third base picnic area if they really do desire
It was
having their own
proposed,
concessions. And we haven't heard anything from the Hawkeyes about if they want to still play in 2026 or if they're going to do 2027. And then the new business is that we had Kyle Schultz, which I believe I attached the emails and correspondence about the wiffle ball game. That he had reached out to Marcia and us in regards to a wiffle ball game that they want to have be held on June 6th at 5 p.m. of this year. We were all very, very strongly adamant, the Doubleday committee, that we would hold this tournament because we all thought it was kind of cool. And looking at all, I went and watched a couple of the games and videos on YouTube, and I'm not a wiffle ball person, but I still thought it was very cool to maybe have these people come and play with us. We did kind of discuss about the fees if we let them play a Doubleday field. They agreed to buy two game slots just because they had said that it's going to take them a couple hours to come and set up and do all the things they need to do. So they would pay the $1,200 for the two slots. And they also were very, they also did agree to sell or give us like $1 of each ticket proceeds that they sell, and they were hoping to get maybe 200 people to come, so that would add to our profits.
So they were going to do both. I thought the upshot of it was we would give them two slots, they would pay us that, and they would take their concessions, but they want to do both. They want to contribute some.
Contribute a little bit from the ticket sales, and they would donate it back to the Friends of Doubleday, which in turn would help.
Help that we charge these fees per game slot because after each game, the field has to be maintained.
Yeah.
But this won't be the case. Our crew will not be involved. After the first game slot, they're just setting up. It's a savings for our crew.
Yeah, it's savings for.
Exactly. I think Marcia's email, January 12th, really outlines that. Essentially, they didn't need the slot before, but now they're paying for the slot before to get this set up So we've gained an additional 600 for a total of 1,200 for this. So it seems like a win-win. I would say, sharing ticket sales is irrelevant, I think, to a degree. So specifically, we are approving this wiffle ball since it's not our standard baseball that plays there. So we would be approving wiffle ball and with the consideration that having booked the 2 slots, they are and paying the $1,200 fee. Is that?
That's my.
That's kind of what-
Yeah, so if that's good with everyone, I make the motion that we approve the playing of wiffle ball on that date with the booking of 2 spaces and the payment of $1,200 for the field rental. Second by Audrey. All in favor?
We had also had a discussion with the Doubleday Committee, I guess the JSB organization did talk about maybe bringing in their own concessions, but I want to say it was Jeff or someone had told him maybe go and try to have their people go to different restaurants around the area just to help.
And it sounded like they were amenable to
Yeah,
that.
they were
I think
amenable,
so.
yeah, so
Perfect.
that'd be something I would try to tell the Hawkeyes too, to see if we could work something out with them instead of
Mhm.
going through all the concessions.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so then my only other thing I wanted,
About the sign, but Molly's gonna talk about it now.
yeah, so my last question is I just wanted to see if we can maybe get this approved or still have it for discussion.
So what would be the duration? This would be a permanent fixture?
This would be a permanent fixture, I guess. The JSB baseball did donate the money and the space or not the space, but donate the money. That was their idea for the picnic area. So the Friends of Doubledays just thought it would be a good idea to help honor them with the sign.
Did they pay for the picnic tables?
No.
I don't think so.
So the
No,
picnic tables were made from.
No.
But my understanding is they bought them.
They
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think.
paid for at least one.
Yeah, well,
And
Yeah.
then, maybe it's it as opposed to them, and then are placing them there. My only question is, how big are they and where exactly are we talking about?
So I tried to reach out to Mitch, but it sounds like he was busy plowing all the streets this weekend, so he wasn't able to get back to me my email today. I guess he had the measurements of how big they would be, so hopefully by the next meeting I can
Yeah.
get you all about
The
that.
size, the duration for how long they're going to be there, and are they on that back fence area? So location, size, and duration, I think are key.
And number, is it just one? Oh, yeah.
I had the sense it was one.
Yeah, my understanding it was just one, but I'll check on that.
So it's not like those are going on the table.
They won't
They would be going on the wall, maybe, the retaining.
I would believe it'd probably be going on the wall, but I can double check with the board to see where exactly they were
Yeah.
planning.
We have time before people
Yeah.
are in there to
Yeah.
use those picnic tables, so just.
Regarding the size, I think my primary concern is that we limit our brick and mortar stores to a certain number of square feet. And I think it's really important to be equitable and ensure that these signs are not, bigger than what we would allow a business to have.
And what would be what's the size for the business, do you know?
It's in the sign ordinance.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
Maximum square foot. And of course, there's a little difference because we're talking about signs on buildings on streets that you're much more proximate to than looking at them from 150 feet away or whatever. So I don't know.
You know what I'm wondering is that, so who's paying for this? They're paying for the signs, they just want to have them put up.
They put up, yeah.
You'll notice in our budget for, under previous administrations, there was the concept we could sell banners in Doubleday that would hang on the front of the seating areas. We would make money from that, and it would be advertising. It never really took off. I'm wondering if instead of signs attached everywhere, You know, there could be a banner that goes up in this, because the only time this is going to be seen is the summertime too.
Yeah, I thought the outfield fence, just like the olden days, you know. All the commands.
Yeah. Yeah, there are possibilities. All right.
Good, so I'll bring this up with the next Doubleday committee and get back to you guys about the location, size and quantity.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Motion to accept Doubleday Field report by George, second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to streets.
Yeah, so you have the streets minutes in front of you. I'll just point out a couple of things. It wouldn't be a meeting if we didn't talk about the trolley, so we're gonna do that in 3 different ways. First of all, the RFP for trolley services for this summer is being prepared by Otsego County and has either just gone out or is about to go out, so.
I thought it was going to be like March. It was going out. They're going more early now. There was some communication.
No, it's when the bids come back and they can award because,
It would be in March.
yeah,
All right.
yes.
But it's for a 1 year.
It's for a 1 year with
Renewable?
4
Renewable.
renewals. Yes. The first bullet point you may find distressing under trolley because I know that I did.
Yeah.
And that is one of the trolleys that the county owns that is part of our system has a engine repair with an estimated cost of $16,000. And the statement that STOA funds will cover that expense is sort of true, sort of not true. What that means is that when we do our reconciliation with the county for all the costs for presumably next year, that cost will have to be accounted for in the reconciliation, and any STOA funds that are received could be used to offset that repair. But that's a large expense.
How much would it leave us with? If you take the 16,000 out?
Well, so this year, for instance, it looks like we're gonna be about $6,000 in terms of money coming back from the county to the village. And we spent 18,000, I believe, on things like gasoline and insurance and reimbursables. So if you throw 16 into that mix, you know, it puts us another 10 in the hole. I mean, we'll get through it, but it's just important to know that next year, they were hoping to get it on this year, and they were hoping that in part because of the contract, right? Leatherstocking Trolley has the contract and they're the ones who got this estimate. But they work on a calendar year, they being the county, so they're closing their books.
Oh.
So this is not a repair that will be done in time for that.
Can I ask one more question?
but-
What does STOA stand for?
State Transportation Operating Assistance.
Thank you.
Which goes to the other thing that I brought up, and I have since been convinced by several people that it was a bad idea. And that is that we consider raising the rates for the trolley as a way to garner more revenue. And one of the reasons that may be a bad idea is that if we raise the rates, that has the potential to decrease the ridership. And if we decrease the ridership, then we get less STOA funding. So there are lots of things to put into an algebraic equation about how the money.
I kind of lobbied against raising trolley fares for that reason. And also, I said, if you're a family of 4 and you come and you park in a peripheral lot and then you wait the half hour till the trolley shows up and you
Yeah.
all buy your tickets and you
Yeah.
get on the trolley and ride downtown and then ride it back, you could take your vehicle downtown
Right.
and park for 4+ hours for less money and the convenience of having your vehicle there to drop purchases in, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it's self-defeating to the trolley to raise the rates, I feel.
Anyway, when we look at our, when we have our budgeting workshops, we will probably give more scrutiny to the trolley page than we sometimes do in the past. Trustee and I have been working to make sure that we're better documenting all the costs that go into it. Under capital projects, you will see the South End project village funded. We did receive numerous bids for the South End project, two of which are close to one another, and certainly within our price range. And our engineer at Herman Engineering is doing due diligence in terms of making sure that all requirements are met by the lowest bidder. He's asked for a schedule and other information to ensure that we can accept that low bid if that's what we choose to do. So more coming on that. We weren't able to get it all together today. And then on the back page, you'll see parking. Discussion was held on the Fowler Way sign, and you have a mock-up here where
Oh, yeah.
the font and the like still need a little work, and the dots are a little too big and that sort of thing. But I did think it was wise to have a number of eyes look at this, make sure that it was clear and that there isn't anything missing. This sign is replacing a sign that we already had. And that sign was damaged, but then we added the EVs anyway, so we need to replace it. The unfortunate thing in the minutes is it says Dr. Folk stated that the cost should be around $2,000 because that's about what the sign cost last time. And that was grossly inaccurate. The sign is about $4,600.
Plus shipping.
Plus shipping. But we do have that in our budget under signs. So
Under what?
Under-
Street stand sign?
signs, yeah.
This is a nitpicky thing, and I suspect it's clear to most people. I just questioned it, that's all. Fees apply. The fees are for not moving your car after charging. And people would understand that that's
Well,
what fees apply.
Also just for hooking up to the EV.
Needs apply for charging.
Well, right,
Yeah.
so my question is, I guess fees apply for both things, and we don't really need to specify that.
No, it's probably worth saying that fees apply for charging and, yeah,
Violation.
we can work on that. I mean, there's lots of room in that line too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Can there be some introductory statement that the following? Because this sign is all about exceptions, so this is permit parking only to start with, right? Except where it isn't.
No, it's only permit parking in the summer.
Well, but that's when 99% of the people are gonna read this sign.
No, it's full almost every day. Right now.
Yeah, right now it's free.
Okay. Okay,
And if you're using the EV charger, you don't have to have a permit.
so what we use this for is not metered parking, not hourly parking. You can buy a permit. for this lot.
It's permit parking.
Do we find that we have more demand than we do have supply of
Absolutely.
for this?
Yes.
Are people grandfathered in, or do they like boat docks?
You get them every year, so you're not grandfathered.
But if you have a slip, you get a slip if you haven't violated the rules for a boat. Do you get a permit if you had a permit the prior year, or is it a jump ball
Yeah,
every
you
year?
have to.
No, you come in and you
Anybody
buy,
can get a permit.
just like we come in every year to get our parking permit for 2-hour parking on Main Street. It's just a separate permit from our on-street parking permit.
Yeah, but just to give you a sense of numbers, I believe there's what, Jenna, between 900 and 1,000 permits that we,
For parking?
yeah,
Yeah,
and we have 40 parking spaces.
What's the fee per permit in that lot? 20?
It's the same permit as a street. It's 25.
And it's for non-residents?
Anybody can buy a permit.
Anybody can buy that permit.
It's the same one that you buy that you put on your car that you park on Main Street.
Yeah, but that's for people who reside in the county, right? Oh, it could be anybody.
You
Anybody?
know, we get people that are just visiting that would like to purchase one.
Yeah, if you're here
I
for a
can do
week,
that.
you can get it.
Oh, okay.
Everything else about this sign makes sense? And Martin, we did keep the language down there at the bottom that says the Village of Cooperstown is not responsible for, although I know we've had that discussion before. There was in the past also, in terms of preamble, there were directions on this sign as to how to get a permit, and it seemed that those were not needed.
Can I?
Mhm.
Are we done with that topic? Or do we have to approve the sign and purchase or not necessary?
I don't believe that it's necessary. It's a budgeted.
Yeah.
I mean, I just,
Yeah.
It's in our budget.
I didn't want to jump away from that. If there was something else we had to do. But your second bullet about the New York Forward Hoffman Lane project, we have the Cerro.
Yeah, I put that on, I've got that under grants and projects, and I can review the discussion I had concerning your worries about the Paso Row contract.
Right, and I just, in this, and I understand that it isn't there, but what isn't here is, this is just the boilerplate top pages, the work itself is in the schedule that isn't attached. If you look at, in the,
Right, the
Paragraph
work,
2.
which we saw, I think,
some time ago, so I
Yeah,
don't
2
know.
months ago.
What the,
Yeah.
yeah, so what is,
Nothing changed. This board approved the RFP that went out back in September, I believe. We had 3 responses. The board saw those responses and saw the proposal. And essentially, they took our RFP and that's how they and on that, those figures haven't changed. That's not the contract, though. That's the services agreement. So this is just the contract that would be signed for that work that we already selected Passero in that. I can send it around again.
no, that's okay, while we're on the topic, I don't want to keep bouncing back and forth, but I did send in a note about paragraph.
Yep, and that's what I spoke to Passero about.
Okay, and I wanted to just say, after I took my first visit to the vault today and saw all the project documents, I was looking for some stuff on the dam and some other things, and I realized we do get project documents.
Yeah, we do.
So-
Do you want to? So if you want, I'll handle it now.
Yeah, let's.
So Joe, I called, I actually forwarded your email to them. What I think is confusing for you is you thought that we don't get anything. Do we have to buy this? Because it sounded a bit like that, but it was a bit of a legalese misnomer. Essentially, as we do any project, we do it along, we get to maybe 30% construction drawings. We get the hard copies. We say, oh, no, we don't want this, we want this. Then we get to maybe 60% or 50%. Ultimately, you get to 95, you're getting real close, and then you get 100%. We get paper copies on all of this, and that's what you're seeing in the vault. That's 100% what we will get. We will also get digital copies. What that clause was really almost their legalese from their attorney saying, look, we can't store forever
Right,
these documents. And they're basically saying they're under no obligation. But should we lose every single paper copy and destroy our digital, if we then went to them, we could have that. If they still had it, there'd be no fee for it.
okay, that's what, obviously, the language in here is that we are gonna pay for
Yeah.
something, and we don't know what that price is, so I was just
Yeah,
recommending that.
and they said if they still had the digital, they'd certainly let us know, but the odds are we'd have these documents already both. So the only thing that we felt wasn't clear in here, and I've consulted with them, and under 11 ownership of documents, that same one, there's going to be one more little paragraph, and it's going to say, at conclusion of all work, consultant will provide to client quote, as-built, end of quote, files in both hard copy and digital formats at no additional cost to client. So that is being added, and I'm sending this, if I have this, we're trying to get the project moving along. We'd love to have a signed contract with this firm. So if I can have a motion with that change and that correction, I would be authorized to sign this on behalf of the village.
And I'm all for that. I just want to,
Okay,
it's interesting, to me, this paragraph, ownership of documents, doesn't really capture the deliverable that as-built obligation, well, what that represents. So I don't mind it being under there. I just don't want it lost, and it seems in an odd place. That should be a work product that we get from them, the as-built drawings. But if it fits comfortably under there and you don't mind, I don't think we can stay.
I mean, the one thing that we were upset about, we felt was imperative, was that they give us as-built at no cost. And there was no, we made the call. Ellen was in and we talked and we made the call to them and they acknowledged right away they'd change it. Fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and Joe, and if I apologize, this is small, but if you want to see the numbers and the proposal, I have it on my phone.
okay, I will move that we approve this contract with Passero to handle the village portion of the New York Forward projects other than the signage, wayfinding signage. And with the addition under number 11 of the clause with the wording I have just stated pertaining to as-built documents.
Second it.
Second by Molly. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, so if you want to, the deadline for sort of getting us the contracts was last Wednesday. The state did quickly say yes to this. If you have any impetus,
Yep, I'll talk to Doreen.
perfect.
I know, like I said, she was waiting for this because she thought it would.
And I sent her
Yeah.
this, and then I notified her over the weekend. I said, go ahead, because the state approved this one. So if you use something, there would be no change, most likely.
Okay, yep, will do.
Perfect. It's that the end of streets, right?
Unless there are any questions, yes. And I do appreciate the sidewalk report, and we do absolutely encourage residents, visitors, business owners, if there's a sidewalk that's a problem, please let Mitch know.
All right, motion to accept the Streets Committee report by Audrey, second by George, all in favor. Moving on to buildings. I realize Richard is not here. Was there any questions or comments?
There's one item on the supplemental.
Additional agenda?
Yeah, related to buildings. We had gotten a proposal from an engineering firm to do a study for this building of alternative heating and cooling.
It's the last couple
Yeah, it's the
pages
last
in your
couple pages.
additional agenda.
This is not to do the work, but to look into the feasibility of doing heat pumps, geothermal, something that is not oil-based. And they had put together a proposal for us when we applied for a grant almost a year ago. We didn't get that grant, but we did ask them to update the proposal, and they have done that. So you can see there's some things that they have
Crossed out.
crossed out and
Yeah.
some things that they have added for greater clarification.
And we have funds for this
It's in the budget, yeah.
in our current budget.
Yes.
We put it in $8,001.
Yep.
All right,
They'll make a motion to approve the proposal from FS Engineering.
Second.
second by Joe, all in favor? Aye.
There's another item in buildings that I can contribute a little information to, the book drop structure
Oh.
that's reportedly been damaged. I've looked into, apparently the replica of that would be something like $4,600. But there is a local fellow who is willing to take a look at repairing it and see what it needs. I'll probably see him this week. And if that's okay with people, I'll get an estimate from him and pass it on to the library.
What happened to the book drive?
Well, somebody said it was vandalized, but if you look at the bottom and so maybe the top was movable somehow or removable, but I couldn't budge it the other day. But along the bottom, it's mounted flush on the slab and it's rusted around its perimeter, so it's maybe taking on water. There may be
Yeah, that
some
would be
other
good.
welds and seals that have to be, and maybe a remount where it keeps, got some relief off the slab.
All right. Any other comments? No? Motion to accept Buildings Committee report by Molly, second by Audrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to finance.
We
Treasure.
have listed in the table of contents here, the consent agenda. I don't see anything on this to call out for special attention. So we had a meeting on Thursday and went over all of these items in some detail. One thing I will mention without getting it out of the agenda is that we hired Jacob Gillette to assist with the watershed, and he came on midstream in our budget, so we will be moving some funds to pay for the rest of his tenure during this fiscal year. And Cindy, you and I had a chat about this, and then we had a chat at finance. We can use both funds, water and sewer funds.
We never have historically, but I said, we discussed it last year, and it certainly seems like this is the year we're going to have to, just so trustees know, positions in the village office are not all general fund, you're a fund. For instance, our deputy treasurer does all the water and sewer invoices mailed out, all those records. So a portion of her salary comes from water and sewer. Mitch also has water and sewer funding for his salary line. So it's not like they are held separately. They are functioning with activities that pertain to water and sewer. So those departments, those account lines, the F and G in your budget, sometimes have a little more money than our A fund. And so it is a way to do that. And certainly our watershed coordinator inspector is 100% kind of water oriented with funding from there.
So, and we'll discuss that in more detail during the budget process.
When we get into the budget discussion, yeah.
So I would move the approval of the consent agenda. Let there no more questions.
Motion made by Joe, second by Audrey. All in favor?
Aye.
There is one item, as long as we're talking about finance, on your additional agenda, and this cropped up today. For those of you who've been through our organizational meeting, our first meeting in April, you know we approve a whole bunch of resolutions, including several finance resolutions. This is a proposal to, at this point, amend finance resolution number 1. At this point, I'd probably be 2026, maybe not, but we're amending what we adopted in 25. That one currently reads authorizing payment for public utility services, New York State and federal government payments, postage freight, approved conference registration fees, various deposits for services, and group health insurance by at, and we would add fuel invoices, including both oil and propane. The reason this cropped up is all of our invoices are reviewed by three ayes, the finance committee. Yeah, well, yeah, three sets, three sets. Plus, of course, our treasurer, everyone in the office, there's tons of eyes on our invoices. We have a lot of oversight. And then they're approved. These, for instance, public utility services, this is really like NICEAG, our electric bill. Just in case it misses, we don't want our electric turned off here. So it's basically authorizing those payments in advance of board approval. But when the board, the finance board gets together, we see these, we recognize and review them. So it's all, again, has many eyes on it. It came up because with having an early meeting in November and an early meeting in December, we actually didn't, and then some changes in personnel in that department, we did not pay some invoices in a timely manner. And it took a little while to get it all resolved today, but we are now going to add that all our oil and propane invoices can be paid prior to the board meeting.
Where is,
I'll make that motion.
I'm sorry, I don't see, is that specified in here?
Not in this draft.
No, it'll be added.
It'll be added to.
Oh, it'll be added to
Yeah.
this. Oh, got it.
Are you looking at your additional agenda?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Isn't that it?
Right here on the additional agenda.
Oh, okay, right here. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
just
reading
look at-
that document.
Yeah, but just so
okay.
you were seeing what it was we'd approved before and what we're adding is in the bowl.
Got it. Yep.
So I've made the motion, second by George, all in favor?
All right.
Welcome home, Cooperstown. As you all know, the Welcome Home Cooperstown doesn't meet 1 month a year, and that's January, but we plan the whole year. And you may have recalled that this board wanted to do refreshments in August. We got bumped right away. We were already bumped. And I had emailed everyone and they had said we have June open and members of this board said June was fine. So yes, we are doing the refreshments in June. So the committee met, was just last week, January 20th, and have arranged pretty much the whole year. Let me tell you about our next Welcome Home Cooperstown, which is February 3rd, just next Tuesday, is Library Lovers Month, and area residents are encouraged to attend and learn about the library's 2026 activities. Remarks by the chair of Library Lovers Month, Nina Nociolino. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. I apologize. And there'll be a special craft for children coordinated by our librarian, Heather. And local musician Luke Dean will provide entertainment. Refreshments are sponsored by both the library trustees and the Friends of the Village Library Board. So I hope to see you all there. Again, it's 5:30 to 7. At that planning meeting, people were saying, well, what's the village doing for America 250? And I said, well, I don't think there's a lot of activities planned. And someone said, what about the Erie Canal? And I said, actually, Erie Canal had its big celebration 250 last summer, as did, for instance, the covered bridge at Hyde Hall, et cetera. But after that, I was researching, ideas for municipalities, and one popped up, and it was create an America 250 time capsule. Communities are invited to assemble a time capsule filled with items that reflect life today and their local history, then bury it at City or Village Hall to be opened during the nation's 300th anniversary, 50 years from now. This is a powerful way to connect today's residents with future generations through a shared civic legacy. I thought, well, this is great. Molly, you have to stick around.
Yeah.
You'll be the only one here to actually see this thing off.
I'll be there.
So
Well,
it did seem like it would be a good connection when we're doing the refreshments in June. to sort of have a little display of material and put it in a time capsule. For those who don't know, we seem to have some little time capsules around here, like one's down in the storage room. But we thought this would be actually maybe fun to bury. And Mitch was saying that certainly we could bury it kind of there on the front lawn with a notation, that in 50 years from now, it would be on the 300 dug up. So the committee was really in favor of this, hoping that the village board is totally on board with it. So the next question is, there are various ways to do a time capsule. And, you could spend up to 500 for one of these steel things. You can actually make one out of a big PVC tube, that's sealed up. So there are options, but it did seem like the Welcome Home Cooperstown Committee doesn't have the funds to buy something. Would the village be willing to fund a time capsule for this?
I think so. What I would love to do is find a local craftsman. who
Yes,
can Produce it.
that's exactly what I was
The
thinking.
best,
There are people who can do that.
Right.
Yeah, but it needs to be.
yeah, I was going to say, you can Google the Library of Congress. Listen, I'm a paper conservator. I've conserved things that are in homemade time capsules. And they mold, particularly if we're putting this in the ground, they will not survive. You can spend like $600 for this metal thing, but actually a PVC tube, like a 4-inch tube that things get rolled up and put in, it's sealed and then adhered. It's actually a more stable, it's never going to be stable with that fluctuation in temperature and humidity and everything that's going to occur. But that material will survive much better than a wooden box or anything.
Yeah, but it would be nice to have some decor, not just a plain old, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Good decorate
And these-
too.
Would somebody fabricate that? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Somebody fabricate, a local person does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Too. I'm not saying have some treasure box that's gonna be.
Yeah,
No.
the ones that I saw online that were like $600 are all steel and metal, et cetera. But I think we could easily,
Be the perfect person.
yeah.
Does the funeral home have any on the shelf technology?
There are small ones,
Yeah,
concrete, plastic.
how big are we talking about? And what,
Well, do we want
Not a
to
full heart.
authorize funding up to $400 or $500 or something to fabricate a time capsule?
Yeah, do we have money in this year's budget that we can encumber now in the discretionary line?
We don't have a, discretionary, you don't have a contingent.
No, but we have.
We have
discretionary.
no contingency.
But in the mayor's discretionary line, or should we, or?
All mine, the board actually has a bigger line than I do. Uh-huh.
I mean, what money is left in that, or should we wait until June when we flip? But if you want to do it in June.
Yeah, we have to, if the board is not willing to allocate any funds, there is an organization willing to fund this. So is the village board willing to support this or not?
yeah,
Okay, up to $400.
Sure.
All right, by Cindy, second by Audrey, all in favor?
what
Thank
kinds
you.
of things, and would we be soliciting from the public to put in there, or how would that work?
I think that there should be like a press release. Interestingly, June for Welcome Home Cooperstown will be youth. 4-H group is coming, the Identity Alliance, I believe the Leo Club. So we thought this would be a good way too to get young people thinking about what they would like to see in there. So it's a little more involved than just us saying what we would like to have in
And
there.
obviously size limitation,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is kind of specifics.
Just a thought, that the group that's Walter helped organize the men's shed group that meets on Tuesday, they would probably.
Yeah, they
have
would.
A terrific time building.
Oh, that's a great suggestion, Joe.
That is a great suggestion.
Who is that?
Yeah,
It's called the men's
the
shed.
men's shed.
It's a a men's socialization for older fellows who, as they say, we don't talk face to face, we talk side by side. Working on some,
Okay.
so.
Great, great suggestion. All right. New York Forward, we've already covered. We've signed agreed to the Passero contract. Cooperstown I&I study, this is the EFC inflow and infiltration engineering planning grant we received, a $60,000 grant. Delaware Engineering did complete the I&I engineering study, and it has been approved by New York State. So I submitted today for the final reimbursement under that grant to close out that grant. Round 9, Restore New York. We, of course, have our $1 million, and we're just kind of waiting for HCR to notify the Vecino Group, the applicant, on whether their credits. I did check into that. March 11th is the outside date, but knowing what happened in the previous application round, it was before that. And there's like no warning. You just open your email one day and either you got it or you didn't. So we're they should be hearing potentially sometime in February.
So how secure is our $1 million? How long did?
Our million sits there, and I am strongly hopeful that this will get everything it needs because New York State has backed that Restore New York for 217 Main.
That grant is in the form of reimbursement arrangement as well. We don't have the money in hand.
No, we don't have none.
Right.
None of our grants do they give it.
Yeah.
You have to, you have to basically spend it, then document you spent it and made sure you contacted him. There's a lot of requirements with it before it comes back. Willowbrook, the completed study was on the village website, but then end of last week, the Army Corps of Engineers tweaked it, made changes to our Willowbrook.
They weren't happy with the graphics.
They wanted to improve the graphics.
Oh.
So we've had Kyle take down the other one and put the new one, but it is under government. You'll see the drop down, the complete, 300-page study is on our website to access. Cindy's done a nice blurb for Village Voices on that. And the Army Corps has provided a press release for the Freeman's Journal, which, what, did you submit that?
I have not.
Okay,
submitted
we
it.
were just going to put like
Yes.
introductory paragraph. The village is so happy to have worked with blah, blah, blah. It's a typical kind of engineering press release, if you can imagine. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it was up before
Before we sent it.
Good idea.
Okay. Project Ferry Spring, we can probably talk about under parks, but of course, at this point, we've met with the Friends of the Parks and kind of divvied up tasks. So
Yeah.
we're excited
Exciting.
about moving forward. And nothing new to report on the 9E plan. We did submit for reimbursement of about little over 100,000 in expenses. And that was the first time we've submitted. And of course, there's 3,000 questions come back on everything. So we still have not received any reimbursement, but we're hopeful. And that is that. Moving on, we have Parks Board.
Yes. So Badger Park is up and running, I think, although there was an announcement of problems with the liner, I thought, but hopefully that got resolved. Yeah, rips in the liner. Friends of the Park, as you mentioned, we met with them to go over with the engineers, who's going to do what, and it is exciting that Friends of the Park are at 90% of their funding goal. They will be doing the road I think there was some question what kind of material we wanted for the retaining wall that I think still has to be specified, correct? I think that was something that we discussed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll come to, even though that's kind of under the Friends of the Parks,
Right.
they're going to
Show.
have material boards,
Right,
et
for us
cetera,
to
for
look
you
at
to see.
afterwards, yeah.
Is that construction happening this season or?
The feeling is that, and I don't mean to jump in there,
No,
but they,
it's all right.
they really, this is such a passionately beloved park. They don't want any work done during the spring in case it runs into the summer, and certainly not during the summer.
Right.
So everything that is planned would commence after Labor Day.
Right. And then, of course, the village will take care of the ADA bathrooms and the caretakers' quarters, so. And we are going to hopefully get some SUNY Oneonta students maybe working on painting the caretakers.
Nice.
Quarters in the Oxford brown stain. We know the color, so that's all good. The dog park, as you know, we met with the facilities and finance committee to just clarify, any questions they had, and Joe was instrumental in finding some of the records that I think the school was confused about or didn't have or didn't understand the actual conveyance of that parcel. So I think that's been clarified, but we were hoping to get the school board's support for possibly using that parcel for a dog park. So
Is there any
See.
report?
No, I tried, their offices were closed today because of weather. I have done an email, resending the permanent easement. There was a confusion
I know.
that went round and round, and we finally, once we resolved that, I sent an email, I've sent another copy. Actually, I've sent a copy of everything I've copied before to him, and I pointed out to him very succinctly that there were two deeds that culminated and consummated the contract that said we pay $50,000. And get these easements. So there was a deed for the temporary easements, a deed for the permanent, and somehow he had a temporary one, it appears. And I think when he reads the email, when he gets all of it, he can easily see that these have no bearing on anything they have to decide, and the money
Right.
was clearly paid, and if it wasn't, it was, Joe and I both concur. We spent an hour or so on Sunday going over it. The statute of limitations is long past, but clearly the deeds say consideration passed. So
Yeah.
I suggested to Ellen, we not spend any time looking for a check that's
Right.
15, 18 years old.
Right. So that's where we are with that. The park survey is up and running. And there's a link that was shared. We hope that all of you can share it with your.
I thought it was a
friends and-
very good survey.
Yeah, we tried to simplify it, but still
Yeah.
have some open-ended questions so people could weigh in on, and be a little bit more specific about what they like about the park.
Great job.
Parks, yeah. No, I'll be really interested to see what kind of feedback we get, and it's also going into Village Voices. Yeah. And I think we're leaving it open till the 23rd of February, I thought. was- Might be. I thought I had read 23rd somewhere, but the 28th would make more sense just to have it for the whole month. Let's see. Oh, the doc. Yes, these letters about that are going out to renters for dock space. We didn't really discuss it very much. I was a little curious about the pricing. Is this something that needs to be review? Do we need to consider increasing it, or how do these prices compare with other prices?
I saw that, I didn't know if anyone did do any homework with other places.
No.
But I can tell you that we are, particularly for village residents, like a third of what a private
Right.
place would be, and
Right.
even an adjacent private place. We're also, a few years ago, I also got figures from Bay Side Marina,
Mhm.
which is about 7 miles up the lake. It's grown exponentially. That was also 2 to 3 times more than our rates.
I was looking at the canoe and kayak rates, and I noticed that for lakefront and 3 Mile, village residents and employees is one rate and non-residents is doubled, but we don't do the same thing for Ferry Spring. So I wasn't sure why Ferry Spring is not also doubled for non-residents.
The problem with not the problem, but Ferry Spring, we allow town of Middlefield residents free use of that park.
Mhm.
So it can't be just village residents. We're also allowing town of Middlefield as well. So you're saying,
Well, so if you look at the schedule of rates, I'm just comparing, like thinking, okay,
Mhm.
so the way we calculate.
oh,
this
why is it less?
Right, why is the non-resident rate for Ferry Spring not doubled? What the
Because-
village,
Cause it's so hard to
Yeah, it's
carry,
not,
carry down that.
you
Okay.
know, that was the last racks we put in, and they're
Okay.
up there, and you kind of go down that road, and
I thought that might
Be
be the
nice to have a
case, but I
chute.
wanted to understand.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's because they are, in my experience, not full, so. Yeah.
right.
whereas Lakefront and 3 Mile is really
Right.
filled.
Yes, I know. And I guess I'm curious, people are allowed to leave their kayaks in the racks over the winter? Is that correct?
You're not supposed to, but people do.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's easier
an
to
issue
take
that
them
we-
home and storing them in their garage, I guess.
Well, the thing is, for me, looking at Lakefront Park, I mean, I took a photograph that I could pass around on these snow-covered kayaks. Our boating limitation is out by November 1st. There's a time period for our motor or our dock spaces, but there is no time set for our racks, our kayak and canoe racks.
Mhm.
And the question is, should we, in our letter, create an expectation that we are not a winter storage place in our public parks for people's private watercraft? Take them home. We have IDs for all of them. Everybody has an assigned space. Well, what is the feeling about that?
I think some people who keep them there live in apartments and they simply don't have anywhere they.
The
can take
wherewithal
them
to move
take
them
them
back and
to.
forth,
They could probably move them, but they don't have anywhere to put them.
to store them.
So a lot of our apartments don't have parking spaces either. I just want an even keeled policy, pardon the pun on keel.
They had a keel?
I don't
don't
feel
know.
that they're hurting anything by being there except for the kayak. Which is why I take mine home, because the plastic doesn't do well in -20-degree weather.
So there's an environmental consequence to more rapidly deteriorating craft.
There's no impact, doesn't interfere with any work, any other storage, right?
Visual.
No. But presumably, if somebody leaves their kayak or canoe over the winter, we would hope that they renew, right? And if they don't renew, we take their canoe and kayak out. I mean, I don't know how it gets policed.
Yeah, if they don't renew, they usually.
Yeah, because we'll be selling
Selling
that slip to
somebody
the next
else, right?
person who says there's someone there.
Yeah, Okay.
Okay.
All right, we didn't really have an in-depth conversation about this, and if the feeling is that we shouldn't raise the rates, it is nice to have something that's maybe more affordable than other places, and people love using the parks, but so I don't know, do we need to
So the
get a
rate
formal,
increasing by how much?
is it increasing?
No, this
But
is
it's
what
nothing.
went out. We are just looking
This-
at
yeah.
it to see, is there a desire to change any of the rates or anything else with pertaining to it?
We did run into more shallow draft slips this
Mhm.
year, few boats grounded. But that's no matter in terms of rates. I mean, I think some of these near slips are filling in. It wasn't just a low lake, I think.
Mhm.
Some of them aren't navigable. But if they'll take them, then.
They are paid for though.
Yeah.
And utilized. They can work in some ways for pontoon boats that not for a deep bow boat, but pontoon boats can certainly be in there.
Well, I mean, I guess, what would be the reason to raise the rates would be my question.
Well, one thing that does relate to this is, and we've got to get it sorted out. There are reports of our docks take a beating.
Yes.
So there are maintenance costs associated with them, and perhaps the fees cover all of them, but I don't know that. But there are reports that some of our flotation chambers have cracked open for one reason or another and are spilling styrofoam.
Mm.
And that it materializes on our shoreline. And the question is, how many of our how many of our floats are affected by that?
Mhm.
I know there's a Lakeland Shores issue, but we had styrofoam accumulating right on our shore by our docks, right by the seawall. So it may be coming from all the way up the lake, across the lake, but our boat steward, or the fellow from Trout Unlimited, Steve, his name is, who's there all summer, looking at boats as they come in and out, reported at the Watershed Supervisory Committee that there are breached containments on these plastic coverings for the floats that contain the styrofoam flotation material. So an inventory of that and a replacement of them might entail costs that aren't covered by our current fees, but I have no certainty of that. It's there's just a dock maintenance issue. We certainly want those docks to be, all our waterfront gear to be cost neutral, I think, for the village, right? We don't have a need to subsidize that if we can cover costs in their operation with the fees.
Right. So these renewal letters need to go out next
They
month.
go out at
Yeah.
the end of January, so
Yeah,
that's why
so-
we're looking at it now. You have
Right.
everything that would be going out. They
Right.
haven't been raised in
Since
a couple
when?
of years now. So I was thinking at a minimum, could there be like a $50 increase or something? We are finding that we send our police down there and have to investigate, make sure that the boat you've registered is in the slip,
Mhm.
et cetera, and you're not trying to sublet.
Right.
There's more oversight of this, and as Joe has pointed out, it's not just the village, but all municipalities that have water frontage are seriously looking at these floating docks and additional enclosures for the flotation elements on them. So
I was just trying to see if I could find what our next door neighbor's fees were, but they don't seem to be listed online.
our next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Who-
Oh,
Lakefront.
Oh, yeah, well,
Oh.
no, they don't, but if you ask people, that's how you know.
Yeah.
They obviously have no reduced rate for a village
Village, right.
resident.
Right.
Right.
And I know someone who had her boat there this year, and it's closer to our non-resident fee.
Yeah, but it's also I believe it's by foot there.
To a degree, yeah.
Mhm.
Is there any resolution of the navigation way between our East Dock and?
Not yet. I have been having
Hmm.
a horrible time getting a surveyor that wants to tackle that. To me, as a non-surveyor, it's a simple issue as to what direction your boundary line continues in the same direction it enters the water to the either 100 feet or the center of navigable water. But I think they don't want to get into a battle, a legal battle, and that it's gonna take that. My intent is to offer a settlement, once I get a survey that lets us address this. That we remove the one dock, the boat that they have is also in our right of way. And for the village to then lease that space rather than make them move it. Because that would be an extraordinary expense, so, but it's just getting a surveyor. I've talked to at least 6 now, and I've had 2 come down and look at it with me, but it's just an issue of, what they want, what they're willing to do, and nobody wants to get into a battle between surveyors as to.
Well, then we only need one, right?
That's right, but, yeah.
All right, how about,
So-
let this go back to the boat
Yes,
dock prices.
right,
Um,
To increase it by.
would a motion to increase each of the various dock rates, depending on which dock you're on, by $50?
I
Is
think.
there a second?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
Can the resident be 50 and the non-resident be 100?
well, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You want to go higher on the non-resident?
Yeah,
All right.
and yeah, I think that's.
So that's the motion to raise resident fees in all the dock spaces by $50
Mhm.
for residents and 100 for
Yes,
non-residents.
this is motorized boats.
Yeah, it's not the,
kayaks.
not the
Dock,
kayaks.
dock
Yeah.
spaces,
Yeah.
kayaks are
Yeah.
in racks, not docks.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I second.
Motion made, seconded,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And no change to the kayaks. Right. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we did talk a lot about the lifeguards, and when we get to the budgets, we would love to see, we would love to be able to increase the rate that we pay our lifeguards. And also look at perhaps reducing the number of hours that they need to work before they get some sort of reimbursement for the certification course. So maybe, do a graduated thing. So,
Do you know if the sports center is doing lifeguard training over spring break?
Yes, in April, we have an article coming out of those voices.
Right.
Susie Knight helped me.
Great.
She wrote it. And
Yeah.
reached out to Clark, so.
That was
It
a
does state, that there will be a class in April.
great.
What is, I know when I checked on this last year when we were struggling, we
Mhm.
are a very similar rate to one of the other big lifeguard users. The one benefit those lifeguards get is all the food they want from the snack bar. So it did occur to me that a slight increase in an hourly might, and we certainly have time to implement that, but I think it would be useful to check
check.
into some rates and then make a proposal for increasing the lifeguard rate. And the other thought was that at one time we actually hired a lifeguard, like superintendent, do you remember, who did training, checked on them, helped with the scheduling and everything. And it provided a little bit of oversight. I've had just sort of personal feedback from prior young people who were a little unhappy with 20 minutes on, 20-minute break, there was very little, and that's a function of our caretakers and everything. But I was thinking if there was more of a senior
Mhm.
lifeguard superintendent to help with ensuring all the training occurs, that, you
Right.
know, where are the boards, where are the
So-
whistles?
That is something that we have done in the past.
Yes, we
So
did
we
have
have a
it.
job description for that.
Yep.
There, yeah,
And we
yeah.
could, so yeah, if we could budget for that, that would be great. And I will say, and Jenna, I'd love to go over this with you. I think Friends of the Park want to be able to support you and the lifeguard situation at the parks. And we know too that I think not all the funds that should have been collected were probably collected at the parks. And that might require some training for the caretakers that are there to make sure that they feel comfortable and they have the signage and they are there greeting people and requesting the funds.
I looked at the park figures and I thought they were pretty much on par with prior years. Berry Spring
Very
was what?
spring.
It was
Yeah.
much lower. Yeah, it's always about a third to a quarter of what we do at 3 Miles.
Yeah, well,
Just
right,
because it's
right.
locally used.
Yeah,
Still though.
Yeah.
All right.
so I mean, those are the reports that I got from people that
Uh-huh.
they weren't always being asked to pay around, so. And I think that's probably about it, but at some point, Jenna, I'd love to share with you some ideas that they were floating around and just want to, like I said, support you in the work you're doing with hiring the lifeguards, so. That,
Thank you, Audrey.
you.
Motion to accept Parks report by Joe, second by George, all in favor.
Hi.
Moving on to community and environment.
So the very exciting news at our community and environment meeting was that we submitted, actually I'm using very broadly, MVED facilitated our submission of our climate smart community application for bronze status, which is just very exciting. And we can't say thank you enough to the staff at MVED who made this happen, because there's no way we could have done it ourselves in terms of uploading all of this stuff into the state system. So fingers crossed
That we get it.
that we get it and that they don't ask for any additional documentation, but if they do, we'll be submitting it in March. You may have seen in the newspaper, and it will be in Village Voices, information about deer. So that is forthcoming. There was at our meeting a good bit of discussion about the possibility of applying for an infrastructure grant through the county. So there is currently what I would call trickle down funding that comes from the state to Otsego County to support infrastructure related to housing. The county is asking for interested parties to provide them with information about their project. When we met, it looked like that could potentially be a Bassett related project on Averill Road. That did not come to fruition in the amount of time it would take to submit for this. We did submit what we have submitted in the past, which is for an upgrade of our water and sewer lines on Main Street related to the 217 project. We submitted that information. It requires sort of landowner acquiescence, and they consider the landowner to be the person who owns the property where the housing is going to be built. So I'm not sure that we are actually going to get that. In any case, there is potential there, but there was a quick change, and we've applied for this before, so I did not come to the board to ask if we could submit the letter of intent again. But we did. We may need
And
to,
that form wasn't required last year.
correct.
Yeah,
So
so we,
the Casino Group still hasn't closed on the purchase because it hasn't gotten. the
Correct.
incentive. But in the case it does,
I think we have
would be eligible to.
They might. I mean, this is a very specific form that I think is misleading that the state of New York provides, that basically says this money can be used for housing on your property, which is not what our project is. our project is about water.
Infrastructure.
In Main Street. So I was
Huh.
going to try to talk to Otsego County Planning today, but of course it was a snow day. So I will follow up with them more.
Seems like.
Yeah, you did get,
Yeah.
Cindy was good. She followed up on this and I said, but this makes no sense. We're not building,
Yeah.
you know, on that property. We're doing a sewer and water, stormwater kind of infrastructure one, you know, sort of related to it. But it had to be, and it basically is that the county has, what would you say, ownership part in that. It's very specific language about that property, even though that's not where we would be doing our project.
So is the April Road project,
It's still on hold because they're waiting to hear from the Army Corps of Engineers.
We, in the watershed committee, we're discussing that property because it drains into the pond down at the intersection of 28 and Main Street. That's silted in and has been dredged from time to time. But controlling stormwater runoff in that housing, I'm
It'd be
asking
important.
kind of a grant that April Road project is going to need, I think, more attention to stormwater runoff, given the impacts all the way down into the lake.
They're putting in retention ponds.
On the property,
on the
remember, that
property
was in
and then
there.
a slow drain retention pond, so it evens out the flow. During that lawsuit they had 4 monitoring stations put in at the expense of the Clark Foundation. And we weren't seeing much of any kind of pollution there. A lot of that siltation, they believe, is coming down where the old dump was. And also a creek that runs up through above it, up to the kind of peak of the hill.
Is that the one, Fort Racehorse? What's the name of the tributary that comes in from
They wanted to call it home run.
oh, that's
No, there's a tributary that comes from the other
Now
side.
it's just a
Now
Willowbrook
it's the
tributary. Yeah. Cindy, that retention pond that they're talking about, and I recollect, I don't know if it was before we did Grove Street Culvert or what, that the DOT, someone was up there kind of dredging and cleaning up there. Do you remember that work on Route 28?
Yeah, I would have to look back. I thought it was DOT, but I could be wrong about that. But
Yeah.
yes, there's.
So there has been work on that.
They did that big construction project there, the Department of Transportation, but I thought that pond itself is park property. Am I wrong about that?
I don't,
Might be even Allen property.
that's what I
Because
wonder.
I think
it's connected. I mean, there is actual infrastructure to drain from up on top.
Right.
Down to there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has been dredged. I won't say recently, but in the not too distant past. And that's what I have for community and environment.
All right, motion to accept community and environment by George and second by Molly. All in favor?
Aye.
Water and Sewer Board.
Not a lot of anything unusual to report, although there are some significant operation and maintenance and replacement expenses that are required at the water treatment plant and at the wastewater treatment plant. It's interesting, we had that rebuilt wastewater treatment plant, but some of the equipment has failed. The second bullet there describes a wiring issue. They initially on this trickling filter, somehow the wires got wrapped up and there was damage done, it was replaced, and there's still problems that they're trying to sort out, but none of it is covered by warranty anymore. But the staff thinks they've got those issues at both the treatment plants, the incoming water and the wastewater in hand. And this next issue I just wanted to raise, overlaps with the watershed supervisory committee. When you look at the new business, there's the SUNY biological field station has, and Jake Gillette, our watershed supervisor, has identified a potential issue with temperature changes and the fluctuation of the thermocline, where the temperature changes in the water. It's going to think of a wave temperature. The higher the temperature gets at the intake, the more problematic water treatment becomes and water quality standards being met. So is a kind of a long-term effort to get data on just how the lake is behaving. There was a suggestion of a temperature monitoring system being installed in the vicinity of the intake of the water line. And the sort of the higher end version of that comes to around $33,000. If that's going to be done, it's there's more thought that we'll have to go into it, but that's a potential consideration for us. What's hard for everybody to grasp is you look out and you see a beautiful lake. It seems pristine, but the stresses going on very subtly, and the lake from the data that's generally being collected now, really is a lake is good as this, what we think is a good, still sort of in an intensive care unit. There's going to be monitoring, treatment, and it's going to go on as long as we have human impact on the lake. So it's a real stewardship responsibility that we have. And a much more minor point, the biological field station is interested in seeing, having the staff what's called PIG, the water intake line, which means sending a kind of a torpedo with wire brushes on it, spinning through and out into the lake to clean out the life of invasives, and then to collect information about what has been, been accumulating there. It hasn't been done for several years, and the staff at the plant and the biological field station are going to coordinate doing it sometime early this summer, late spring. I don't think there's much else, and I guess that would cover. So that completes the water and sewer board.
All right, motion to accept Water and Sewer Board report by Cindy, second by Molly, all in favor. Moving on to Watershed Supervisory Committee, which you sort of covered some of that.
I did cover, I want to say we've talked about this, the mayor and I, Jake. There is so much going on with this program, and a lot of people have a lot of questions about it. I think to have the board be as fully informed as possible about this, I'm recommending that we adjust the schedule of our board meeting and have the watershed supervisor and the head of the supervisory committee come in and report sort of as our zoning enforcement officer used to do in the old days at the beginning of the meeting. And then we can get, I think, the benefit of everybody's questions and insights about what their report is and help make them report to the committee.
I would welcome that. I look at their minutes and there's just so much in here.
Right.
Some of it, I have no, I'm not sure what they're talking.
Okay, and we had this all put in this time. First of all, the minutes are always meaty, but this is actually the progress report information that is submitted to New York State under our local waterfront revitalization plan grant that's funding this 9E, which gives a good summary. And yes, they are accomplishing a lot. And certainly, if they do decide to come in, I don't think probably every meeting, but we could bump the watershed early and get, a 15-minute update. You would have the opportunity to ask questions.
And what's important too is that we are hitting our marks in terms of our milestones, which is probably one of the most important things. We do to establish a reputation of as a grant-worthy entity once we try to fund
This is
these activities we want to do under the night out.
emails. Let's see. There is one action I think we need to take, and as we all know, we have a law for outdoor eating area. We charge by the chair and with a maximum of $200. We've never done that fee, and we make a point whenever we open up, for sidewalk vending, that we are waiving the fee. It is a law that we have, so we waive it. The same way, our board last March approved a $150 inspection fee. And we did actually collect that inspection fee during summer of 25. Probably not as many properties, partially because our one watershed inspector ended in June, and then the next one didn't come on to the beginning of October. So there weren't a lot, but it did occur. We have the system all set up. The sense is from Watershed Supervisory Committee that they would prefer that fee not to be instituted. They feel like they would like it while they're busy right now. They want everybody pulling together. So they have asked that we not implement the fee that the board approved for 26. We can discuss that, but if whatever we do, we need to have a motion on this level because it's not their law, it's our law.
So
Okay.
here's a little background about that. This 9-element plan is really dominating the work schedule of Jake, who would be our inspector as well. Inspecting the septic systems is one of his primary authorities and responsibilities that we have in terms of ANCAL under our special New York statute and regulation. But if we're going to do this credibly in an organized way, he feels that we have to have a better handle on our existing records. And when we go out, sometimes you're walking out to somebody's property and it's a smell test. You don't, if nothing seems amiss, maybe you pull on other occasions, you have to pull a lid and actually probe the septic tank to see how it's performing. And then there are different types of septic or wastewater handling systems. One can be just a tank that pump out periodically.
Right.
Other could be a septic with a leach field. And then there are these advanced treatment units, which are heavily engineered and are monitored by usually the installers with periodic visits and costs. So I think personally that the idea of a fee of some sort for the privilege of being on the lake in this protected zone and being there means you have an impact on the lake. How we actually demonstrate how each person should be paying that fee at any particular time when someone says, but I am pure as a driven snow, I've got a advanced treatment unit plan, why are you charging me more money? We've got to sort through that more. Part of this is political, it's public relations, it's as a fellow who spoke to us from Cannon-Dagwell Lake said, you want as many carrots to induce cooperation, especially interjurisdictionally when everybody's a peer, nobody's got exclusive authority to make something happen, that we should we should think carefully how that fee will in this case be implemented. So we're giving ourselves a pause, not questioning the idea of the need for that, but to get our staff and our communities better organized and oriented to it. We had written a letter that we were going to send, but we even postponed that. It was going to be a letter of introduction of the fee that everybody on the lake would understand. But I respect our supervisor's request, and I recommend all.
So, but we already did implement that.
We did implement it. We did implement it, but the feeling is That, again, as I say, it didn't occur, theoretically, it should be 125 properties
Right.
a year, because we have 375. 1/3 are getting inspected every year. Between losing our inspector in June and not hiring full-time position until October, there were not that many, but we did collect, yes.
Yeah, so I understand that. And I'm just thinking, okay, so now we're putting a pause on it. Some people already paid it. Do we need to do?
They wouldn't be
anything?
charged again until 3 years, so they wouldn't see, it's about every 3 years you would get this. This isn't an annual 150 for everybody.
Right.
We're only inspecting 1/3 of the system, so every 3 years you'd pay 150.
There are very few that were paid, but they were seen. So it's not as if that those, and then there were some. When property transfers, there's the fee is.
Requirement.
So I don't think there
Okay.
was maybe Jen, I don't know how much revenue you actually got. It's not.
It wasn't a lot, but we did, I'm just saying we did
So I
do
just
it.
wonder if those homeowners are be like, oh, now they've paused it and I've already paid for this. So
Well,
I don't know.
but you've
Yeah.
already gotten it done.
Yeah.
I will point out, though, Joe brought this up earlier, that we are short on that line because we didn't budget for a full-time position, but we created it. When we put in that fee, that was 18,000 toward that position. So now we're saying we aren't going to use that as a funding stream. So it does affect the budget. As I said to Joe, I happen to be one of those people on the lake. Would I mind 150? Every year, I don't do this, but I know people who do rent their camp out short-term rental, you have to be inspected by Otsego County. And literally someone walks in and says, "Where's your fire extinguisher? Oh, are those your smoke detectors?" 5 minutes and you owe $175 annually. So to most of these people, this
Yeah.
would not be, and it shows the importance of ensuring that the septic system that's flowing into our drinking
Yes.
water is
Yes.
functioning properly. But so
Small.
motion has been made by Joe not to implement for the 2026 season the inspection fee, seconded by Audrey. All in favor?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask you, this budget, this budget item, did we take care of that for EMS?
That's,
Haven't we, it's on the additional agenda?
yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. Essentially, those things are it's interesting, they're in the budget line, right? Didn't he put that in there?
Well, I, and North has to be available. I didn't really. Well, are you talking about the EMS budget?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was reading it, they're all things that are pretty much in the budget line. Go on our budget to a degree.
So I guess my question is, this is going to be considered during our budget building process.
Yeah. It didn't seem to ask for too much else, did it, Jenna, or not? Why don't we reserve that but retain it for our first budget workshop meeting and make sure that we have it. And if we have any questions, read it over prior. And if there are any questions, we will get the answers to those prior to our budget workshop meeting. But I believe those figures are being plugged into our tentative budget. You have before you a proposal from our individuals, the firm that did our audit for the Village of Cooperstown. And this is a proposal to extend the contract for our village audit for 2 years. It's Mostert, Manzanero and Scott. And you can see the quote there for providing that. We found them very good and effective, prompt this year, and feel we could continue with them rather than going out for another RFP. So if that's the case, I move that we approve extending the contract with our auditors for 2 years.
Second.
Second by Cindy, all in favor?
Aye.
We need to approve the village election inspector resolution. Is there a motion?
I move to accept it. Second.
Second by Cindy, all in favor?
Aye.
And to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Otsego County Board of Elections for March 18th, village election use of voting machine and support staff for the day. Motion by Audrey, second by Cindy, all in favor?
Aye.
Speaking of budget workshop sessions, we need to schedule them. I sat with our treasurer, who has a lot of kind of evening commitments. So she has proposed these 4 dates under upcoming meetings. You can see them tentatively for our budget workshops. I will point out that we always schedule about 4 budget workshops. The last several years, we've completed it in 3.
The last one is the village
Yeah, I
election.
just have to need that, can't do the meeting.
Can't do the 18th.
No, but that's the one that I think most likely we won't need. So we can be flexible if we need a 4th one. But we've always, the last few years, we got the village budget, the tentative budget in place in 3 workshops. Do you have one you'd like to propose?
Well, I realize we have to work around her schedule. Wednesday nights, there is a Lenten series that happens. I can miss the ones I'm not leading, but I can't miss the one that I said that I would lead, which is the 11th,
And which one are you responsible for?
the 11th.
March 11th. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's just begin, try and get some of these down. Are we good with February 25th as number 1?
Because I unfortunately won't be able to make any of them because I work Wednesday nights.
Wednesday nights.
So,
You know, we could try,
Wednesdays.
yeah.
it's, you know why, there are, our treasurer is an elected official with
Oh,
other nights.
She Zoom in to other.
To our meetings during her meeting?
No, if we do.
Oh, she's here. She remember, she sits right there.
Yeah,
She did last year, Joe.
yeah.
No, I know that, but if there's a logistic,
Because Molly's never going to be able to go to a budget meeting if they're all Wednesday.
Yep. All right, but we could try February. I feel it's very important. That was like the only date in February, and I'd love to be able to start in
Yeah.
February. So let's concur with February 25th, 5 to 6:30, says number 1. Let's tentatively try and get a second one on there in the next week. So March 4th does not work for who?
None of the Wednesdays work for you.
None of it's going to work for you, but
And you probably can't change.
All
your
right.
work schedule.
let's see if she can do a Tuesday. How's that?
I can't do Tuesdays.
And you can't do
I
Tuesday.
work on Tuesday nights.
you're freer at the end of your week or the beginning of?
or beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesdays are better for me.
Monday?
Tu- Monday's the only day that works for you?
And Tuesdays.
Let's try, see if she could do Monday, March 2nd.
Oh, I won't be here.
You know what? There's 7 of
Yeah.
us and we're never going to hit everybody.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see Molly.
Yeah, I would like to see you. So
I would like
let's
to-
try
11, yeah.
Monday, March 2nd. And that'll be number 2 at 5 PM to 6:30. So then the 11th didn't work for you, Cindy? Is that the one?
That's the one.
That's the one.
I mean, I could be here from 5 to 5:30, but then I would have to go.
About March, shall we see about March 10th?
I can never do Tuesdays.
Never do Tuesdays.
That's my work night.
Thursday?
I think the treasurer can do first.
Oh, she can't do Thursday.
Yeah, she couldn't do, yeah. I was worried it was Tuesdays. I couldn't remember. There's a couple nights she cannot do.
Maybe we should shoot for Monday.
Try March 9th.
Yeah.
All right.
Is anybody able to meet during the day or the morning? Are there any? So for example, Monday,
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday.
I mean, I would just have to deal with my schedule. I mean, I could do it probably.
Tuesday, I can make it work during the day.
so I mean, if there's one daytime meeting, we can.
All right. At this point, we have 2 dates. So we're looking for something in the week of the 9th.
I mean, does Tuesday during the day? I don't know what your schedule's like.
Tuesday, I mean, I would prefer to do, if we're gonna do something during the day, either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. So I think in the morning, I could do Tuesday, the 10th in the morning.
Like 8 to 9.
Committee meeting.
Yeah, we got our committee meetings.
So,
Okay.
okay,
All right, let's just try and get a number 3 here, the week of March 9th.
well, I mean, Tuesday, when do you start working on Tuesday for teaching?
5:30 to 8:30.
So we could do the 10th in the afternoon. I have something from 1 to 2, but it's a Teams meeting, so.
I'm sorry, but we have all the zoning meetings on Tuesday.
Oh.
In this phase, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we're trying to work around a lot of
Yeah.
schedules
Other
here.
people's schedule.
How about, and Wednesday doesn't work for you at all, but you're there for the Monday, March 5th
I would-
one.
7 to 7.
What
so
happened on,
Anytime after 7 PM, I could.
wow, you do 7 to 7.
how about the Monday, the 9th? What was it that people didn't like that day at 5 o'clock?
No, it's fine with me.
It's fine for me.
That's, I'm sorry.
It's good.
All right, so that is, we've got
Monday.
March 5th is number 2, March 9th.
No, March 5th is, okay, and March 9th.
I'm sorry, Monday, March 5th, or I'm sorry, Monday,
Second.
what did I have? March 2nd at 5 PM. I'm sorry, my 5 was close to that.
Okay.
March 2nd and March 9th. Perfect. Why don't we start there? And if we need a 4th, we'll be together and we can set that up separately. How's that? All right.
And we know that Christy is available.
Who?
Christie,
Christy,
No, we don't, but
don't.
hopefully this is gonna work. That's why I had her give us these dates,
Okay.
but no one seems to like.
oh, they work for me, but they don't work for everybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
so we'll see if that works. And if not, we'll have to do it by email or something to set it up. And there may be a time, just not everyone can make it, where
Yeah.
it just, we have to recognize that. The Board of Assessment Review, last month, we seem to have a quorum of 4. Are you planning to be there this time now, or?
I would have to reschedule my class,
Oh.
which I will do if I have to be the 4th. But if there are 4 other people, I will not,
There was a quorum of 4 in the minutes last,
but it included him.
yeah, it included,
it did include him. And you don't think he hasn't said no?
He doesn't know he doesn't know when he will be able to resume his duties.
I chatted with him today and you know, I will see if he thinks he would be able to do that. If not, we will need a fourth.
Okay,
that
so
night.
let me just double check my schedule for, what's the date?
Tuesday, February 17th from 4 to 8 PM. It's 4 hours. It's not, you can't come and leave.
Oh, I know, I did it last year.
You bring your own reading
Yep.
material sometimes,
February 17th, 4 to,
8 o'clock.
I have a work meeting from 3 to 4. I don't know, I mean, I could ask to leave early. Like at 3:30. I tail it. Do I have to be here right at
I'll be
4?
there, so I guess if
Yeah.
you're the fourth, I'll be the,
You can do
yeah, I
it?
was gonna be here anyway, so.
You can be here.
Yeah.
Oh, we have our quorum then.
Okay.
All right. All right. So it's Molly, Ellen, George, and Joe definitely. All right. Breakfast of the board will be February 23rd from 8 to 9, and our regular Board of Trustees meeting February 23rd at 6. If you don't mind, there was one question I think we should just discuss in executive session. So a move, we go to executive session. Second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Please go over here.
We have to adjourn, don't we?
You want me to do it or?
He wants boats
We still
moored
have to do a
at.
motion.
You know,
Yeah, we're just getting the wording here. Oh, sorry.
we're on public property or property leased.
We're just working on the wording.
It's leased. Or on property which is leased.
What?
You have new business?
Just, I thought what you had was fine without being leased, because the leases are
45
pretty
minutes
long.
of deep sleep.
Got it?
Less of REM. I don't know what was wrong with me last night.
Just, I guess, one of those
I'm gonna
nights.
put the whole word.
You know. And I had my son puppy and he was sleeping in bed with me practically on top. of me.
Okay, go ahead and say it out loud, because we can tweak it a bit. and-
Okay. I'm gonna
Here we
read
go.
this. The village does not permit signs, including flags and banners, with the exception of the US flag, on public property, including on boats moored at village docks.
Perfect.
Is that agreement language though? I mean, we are trying to get boat owners to agree to something, not just make a general. That law is out there anywhere. Anyway, we need this to be agreement language. In my view.
Yeah, but this is just for the letter.
This is for the letter. This is a,
Because that's what is what you need.
How about they
That's what you
agree to
sign.
that?
That's what you sign.
You know, I know, but we need that in the permit as, the enforcement is gonna come when the solar corners are coming.
But all you have to really say in the permit is,
Adherence to-
Your permit to, dock at the village, public docks, can be revoked for violation of village rules.
bam, there you got it. All right, motion made, second.
I tweaked it. Let me read it again. The village does not permit signs, including flags and banners, with the exception of the US flag, on public property, including at village docks and boats moored thereon.
Perfect.
Bam.
Now,
All right, second by,
that's,
Audrey.
maybe we discuss this, that's fine for the letter, but when you write an agreement. Which is what this lease is gonna be, we want to establish it there because we have to say, they agree to that, it's not our statement. That this is the case, it's their agreement.
Isn't it implied though, if that's said?
Shut one side saying, so the parties have to agree that they're signing this.
We don't have something on our permit that says,
I thought you had to sign this when I turned it in and said you agreed to all the rules.
You do, you sign that form.
You said a whole harmless, I don't know.
the whole harmless is.
I think it's not, it's, you know, other than the whole harmless and want to change it. No, I guess they do sign on the front and then the whole harmless. Yes, they
Wait,
sign.
you do sign it. You signed to agree by that. So we've got it there.
Okay, I hope, I just want Martin's assurance.
Yeah, on the application.
If whatever that document says, that we're not gonna go through a back and forth, we're gonna say you have violated this permit, the four corners of this land, and your permit you if it's gonna be.
Just,
All right, so motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I was just gonna offer up another thought. What if people start putting obscene stickers on them?
George, I hear you. We had,
the cars.
I had a guy come in and give me 2 pictures of cars that were parked on our main street. I wasn't quick enough to say what Joe just said, where he said, well, it's not leased space. But I said, look, we don't, we don't regulate what someone puts on their private cars driving on a public road. That was about what I said. Obviously, if somebody wants to start putting stickers on,
Police every.
if people want to push it, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, next year we don't give them a permit,
Yeah,
I mean, it would be a.
that's
sign.
why I was almost inclined.
and they can spend all summer litigating without their boat in water, so I think it'll be compliant.
All right, so motion made, motion. I move we adjourn.
Aye.